What is hypnosis? Well, hypnosis is actually a state. It's a state of focused concentration where we directly tap into our subconscious, our higher mind, our superconscious. And in this place, we can make a lot of amazing changes and beneficial changes to our life. So hypnosis is a state that we can access through our brain. Hypnosis versus hypnotherapy. What's the difference? Well, think of hypnosis as a tool. Hypnosis is the tool, it's the method, it's the approach to tap into our subconscious, our superconscious, our higher mind, to make changes, of course. But hypnotherapy, that's the actual therapeutic process that may take a number of sessions using hypnosis for therapeutic purposes. And again, we tap into our subconscious, which is where all the underlying wiring that makes us run and operate the way that we do is at. So think of this, an idea I like to use, an example is a phone, or think of a computer, any type of electronic. So what we see on the surface is I see this phone, but what I don't see and what I don't exactly know how to use or know about is the electricity, is the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, the internet, the microchips, all of these things that go into creating this phone. I know nothing about, and I would not be able for the life of me to put this together if I needed to. Think about all these things that come together to create this experience that's as easy as us scrolling, but is a lot more difficult, is a lot more complex and intricate. It's the same exact thing. You can see me sitting here in front of you talking, and I have a lot of different patterns, a lot of different programs that I'm running that are running on autopilot. Well, underneath the surface, that's what we can't see, what we don't always know about, or we don't always know how to access it. But this is the underlying wiring. This is the operating system. This is what makes everything work. So it's not always easy to fix things or change things on the surface as it is if we actually access our subconscious and make those changes at the root, at the source. So when we do that, we can make very positive changes in our life very, very quickly. And this is what hypnotherapy is. It's therapy, but using hypnosis. So I like to think of it as the fast lane. It's the therapy fast lane. We can sit in therapy for years and hope that we make changes, or we could take the fast lane and go straight to the subconscious. And everything has a place. I'm not knocking therapy, but I've just found that therapy is great for more conscious processing and conscious issues, creating strategies, coming up with tools, and discussing things to be able to help us in our daily life. Whereas issues that are more deeply rooted, that are on a subconscious or even unconscious level, that aren't in our conscious mind, we need a deeper approach. We need an approach that gets to the subconscious, that gets to the unconscious. That's what hypnotherapy is. That's what hypnosis is. That's where it can be very, very powerful. Because if we're getting triggered, if things are coming up that we don't know why or how or what the purpose is or why it's there, anything like that, that's a telltale sign that hypnosis could be used in that situation. Because if you really don't know why you are the way that you are or why you're doing things, well, then you're not completely controlling your life. Something outside of you is controlling you. That's a telltale sign, right? When you feel like something is out of your control, when you feel like something is controlling you, you don't have power over it, or you don't have control over it, you don't have a handle on it. It's subconscious, it's unconscious. It needs a deeper approach. Thankfully, hypnosis and hypnotherapy is that approach, and it can happen. It can make those changes very, very quickly, of course, depending on the issue and you and various things. Is hypnosis safe? Yes, hypnosis is 100% safe and gentle. It's a process that goes at your own pace, and it's never too much. It's never more than you can handle. So there's some common myths and conceptions about hypnosis, and I've got some notes right here, so I'm just going over my notes. So number one is the control. This is hypnosis mind control. Hypnosis is not mind control. You can never do anything without giving permission. So it's all permission based. Even on the stage shows, even the entertainment, the things that you see, the person willingly decided to play along and go under. And when they did that, they gave permission so they can do those things. Question I get asked a lot is, are those stage shows, hypnosis is the entertainment form of hypnosis, real? Do people really, quack like a duck or whatever it is, right? Like, do these things, are they playing along? Or are they just making it up, or are they really doing it? Well, usually they actually are really doing those things on their, under, quote unquote, hypnosis. And while some people may be playing along, many people are actually really under and they're really doing these things. That shows the power of hypnosis. But again, that wasn't against their will. They decided to do that. So hypnotherapy is very similar. If you decide to make positive changes in your life, you're going to be able to do that. If anything were to come to you that wouldn't be for your highest good, it wouldn't be in the greatest service to you, wouldn't be something that you wouldn't want to do, it's not going to happen. You would just wake up, you would come out of it, you wouldn't accept it, you wouldn't do it. Nothing can ever be done without your permission. The conscious and the subconscious and the superconscious, every part of the mind is very protective over you, and it's keeping you safe, it's keeping you able to function normally. That's what the conscious and the subconscious mind are both really, really good at. That's why sometimes we do block out memories and things that are painful, and maybe we don't remember certain things. It's because our conscious processes, even our subconscious processes, are looking out for us. They're not gonna hurt us. They're not gonna let us do anything that isn't gonna be beneficial for us. Another myth is that you're going to reveal secrets or things are going to come out that you wouldn't want, that you might be embarrassed or certain things like that. Same as before, that's not going to happen because that will be against your will. If you don't want something to come out, it's not going to come out. And even if there is something that you wouldn't want to share, that's not going to come out. It would never come out against your will. Sometimes certain things come up, especially in hypnotherapy, that are sensitive, but you always have permission. You're always given permission on what you want to share and what you want to work through. The worst case scenario is something comes up and maybe you get uncomfortable with that and you just decide not to share it and it goes somewhere else, or you decide to move on to something else and we connect about something else. Usually when these things come up, it is for a reason. If there's anything sensitive, sometimes we're holding on to guilt, shame, anger, fear. We're not forgiving someone, or we're just feeling something is really triggering us or something, and these things come up so we can let them go and we can release them. That's really deeply and genuinely the purpose of hypnotherapy, is really to help you release things that do not serve you so that you can step into your power, you can step into greater control, you can step into the life that you really want to be living. Another myth is that you can get stuck in hypnosis. That's not the case either. Nobody can get stuck in hypnosis. It's just like going to sleep. It's just like relaxing. You can relax and kind of be in this altered state, and then you can come out of it as well. Hypnosis is not something that you can really get stuck in because it's just using the same apparatus in our brain, these states that we use when we go to sleep and when we relax. And it, just the same way we go to sleep and come out of it and relax and come back up is the same as hypnosis. Okay, so the science of hypnosis, how this works. So the way it works is there's different brainwave states. There's beta, wide awake. There's alpha, relaxed. There's theta, which we're usually only in when we're dreaming, or when, essentially right before we go to sleep or right when we wake up and we're in that dream, we're seeing the images, we're feeling certain things. That's the theta state. And then delta is us completely unconscious whenever we're completely asleep. Hypnosis works in the alpha and in the theta state. It's not you unconscious, you're not going completely to sleep. Sometimes you are really, really deep, but you're never completely unconscious. You're not going to sleep. So we're working in alpha and we're working in theta. And these each correspond to different hertz levels of the brain. That's where the science comes in, is that there's these different brainwave states that we can access to tap into our subconscious mind, to tap into our superconscious. There's also science around the conscious mind, which are still connected to these brainwave states. And the conscious being our logical, analytical side, the processing, the reasoning. A lot of times this is where the suffering is, because we doubt and we get in these rumination, negative cycles. Whereas our subconscious, our right brain, is more creative. This is where the play, the imagination comes in, the music, the art, us connected to inspiration and creativity. So in hypnosis, what we're doing is, we're working in the alpha and the theta state to be able to tap into our higher, greater self, our operating system, again, so to speak. So we're using hypnosis, we're using these brainwave states to tap into that. An analogy I like to use here, using the technology example, is like, imagine that we are running software version 2. Like, let's use the iPhone as an example. So iPhone 14, this is the version that I have, and iPhone 17 just came out. Well, that's the hardware. So in this example, I am the hardware. So the hardware is not changing. You're not actually changing. But the software, think about, you might be running software version 14, but if 17 came out, would you be okay with still running version 14 when you knew 17 was in the cloud, your cloud? Think of it that way. You've got greater versions of you in this cloud, but we can't always access them easily or readily. But through hypnosis and hypnotherapy, you can access this cloud to download, to integrate what's in the subconscious so that you can have more clarity, you can move through situations. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling blocked, if you're feeling fear, anxiety, sadness, depression, anger, triggered, having these habits and all that, think of this as like, you may be running a version of yourself that isn't the latest version. And so if you download or upgrade to the latest version, you won't have those patterns anymore. That's kind of what this is all about, is tapping into that version of you that is the latest version. And this is you, and this is the latest version. And by hypnosis and hypnotherapy, you can literally kind of start to integrate that. And it can take some time, but eventually it merges. And you don't have the fears, you don't have the anxiety, you don't have those patterns. You create new ones, you create new neural pathways, your nervous system's upgraded, you can feel safe, you can feel comfortable, you can feel empowered, and everything can get better. So what does hypnosis actually feel like? So a big misconception is that hypnosis is going to feel different. I'm going to feel something weird's going to be going on, or I'm going to feel out of it, or it's just going to feel strange, or I should feel some certain way. The truth is that generally you don't feel any different. It feels just like you would just laying down, relaxing. The difference is where you're actually seeing certain things. So where hypnosis really comes to life is sort of in your mind. At the deepest of states, the deep theta state, it actually is experienced by you the same way you would experience a lucid dream. So in a lucid dream, you know that you're in bed because you know that you're dreaming, so you know that it's not real, but you still know that you're in the dream. You're still seeing the dream and you're experiencing it, and you might be feeling the feelings and even hearing things. Hypnosis is the same way. When you get to the deepest of the depths of hypnosis, it's really like a lucid dream, like you're really having this full experience. And then of course there's lighter states too, in the light alpha states of hypnosis. It's just in your thoughts. In the medium, between alpha and theta, in the medium states, you're kind of seeing images. Maybe you're seeing things, like it could be in your mind, kind of like a memory, or like in your imagination, or if you were to think of an apple or think of a tree, you could kind of see that in your mind. But as it gets deeper, you can really see the apple. You can really see the tree. You can really see your childhood home or your memories. And as it gets deeper, you can really see these things playing out like a movie. It's almost like you're literally watching a movie. Or, And again, when it gets really deep, it's like you're really there. So it doesn't really feel any different, but you're actually having an experience. How to prepare for your first hypnotherapy session. So the most important thing to do is set an intention. Really know what you want to get out of it. That is, bar none, the most important thing, because you really want to be intentional around this. Treat it like it's a sacred ceremony, and you're really coming in wanting to really get something specific out of it, and treating it with respect and importance, and like something special. And the more specific, it's really like ChatGPT in a way, the more specific that you are with your subconscious, with your superconscious, the better the output's going to be, the better your experience is going to be, because it'll know, you'll know, and this part of you, this greater part, your subconscious, your superconscious, will know exactly what you want to get out of it. And also it helps your hypnotherapist actually track your success. So oftentimes what I like to do is understand what somebody wants to get out of it completely, so I wrap my head around it completely, and then kind of understand where they are now. And we could put a number on that, and then we can track over the course of time how that's getting better. And sometimes it gets a lot better in the first session. Sometimes it takes a number of sessions, but we can always track that it's getting better. One thing that I love about hypnotherapy is that it really is the fast lane to personal growth, to therapy. It's really not like your traditional therapy, where maybe it might take a while for you to see some results. Hypnotherapy, you're usually seeing results right away. You're either seeing major results or you're still seeing noticeable results. Especially the sessions that I do are 4 hours long and sometimes longer. So it's like, you could say it's like 4 regular sessions in one, or if we're comparing it to traditional therapy, it might be like 20 sessions in one. So you're making changes, you're getting results very, very quickly usually, or you're seeing noticeable shifts. And so it's good to track these things and know what you want to get out of it. And sometimes that goes without saying, but also sometimes we haven't really thought deeply about what we really want. And that's something that I, enjoy helping my clients with. And it's something that you can talk to your hypnotherapist about, especially on a consultation. The next thing is having a consultation is important. So it's very important to get to know your practitioner and feel comfortable with them and ask them, is there anything that you need to prepare specifically to work with them? The most important thing, besides setting an intention, when it comes to your hypnotherapist or the person that you're working with, is that you feel safe and comfortable with them. The key, the secret to actually having success is achieving a deep state of trance. In my opinion, this isn't a blanket statement because it's different for everyone, but in my opinion, that's the way that massive transformation happens. But the way to do that, number one, the key, the secret, is to feel safe, to feel comfortable. And a big part of that is feeling safe and feeling comfortable with your practitioner. So make sure that you're choosing the right person. Look at the reviews, see how you feel with them, have consultations, and feel everyone out. Make sure that this person feels right for you. Next thing, just make sure that you don't have any distractions. I usually recommend turning your phone off or turning it on silent so it's not buzzing during the session. Make sure that you're taking the whole day as like a self-care day if you can, or at least that time that you have your session, just have that be just for you as an act of self-care or self-love, just so you can take this time for yourself. If you're doing it in the middle of the day and you've got meetings and all this stuff going on, your mind's not going to be as quiet and calm to really be able to have the type of experience that you could have if you were coming in completely relaxed. If you're super wired, if you're drinking, double shot of espresso right before you come in, your mind is going to be, wired, and your heart rate's going to be elevated. You're not going to be able to fully relax into it as much as you could if you didn't have that. So the best thing to do is just be relaxed. That's really important. And then finally, just having an open, curious mind, the mindset, just be open to anything, have as much as you can, have no expectations, just come in with an openness, a willingness. And obviously there are certain expectations, like we do want to receive value, but at the same time, sometimes those expectations can really get in the way when we're putting all these shoulds on everything. I should be here by this time. It should look a certain way. And that can cause doubt. It can cause frustration. It can cause disappointment. And these things can really take us out and can really stop the process. So that's very important. Can anyone be hypnotized? Yes. From my experience, everyone can be hypnotized. And by hypnotized just means everyone can access an altered state. So the science basically shows that anytime you close your eyes, anytime you drive a car, watch TV, your brain instantly shifts into an altered state. And of course, we know when we're sleeping, technically that is an altered state. That's the delta state. So can anyone access an altered state? Yes, because none of us are in the beta state 24/7. Our brains are constantly shifting through all these states. So everyone can do hypnosis. Everyone can be hypnotized. Sometimes what I hear is that what you're really asking for when you're saying, will this work for me, is, am I going to be able to get success with this? And usually that means, will I get success after one session or after two sessions? Now, that may not be the case, because sometimes we're all different. These issues that we experience, that we come in to solve with hypnosis and hypnotherapy, these things have multiple layers. Think of it as like there's a root cause. Things may look the same on the surface with different people, right? I might have anxiety, another person has anxiety, another person has anxiety, but the underlying root cause is different. It may look the same on the surface, anxiety, but underneath, one could be related to something completely different and the other is completely different. And one might have a little bit of layers, one might have a medium, one might have a lot. And it might take someone a long time to work through all those layers. Or maybe not. Sometimes you can work through a lot of layers quickly. Sometimes you might not have that many layers to it, but it might still take you a while. So everyone's different. Do I have some of those miracle sessions where people get rid of things in one session or have massive, massive breakthroughs? Yes, absolutely. That's why I never not have hope, and I never say that that can't happen. It's just more often than not, realistically, I find that it does take a number of sessions to really get through everything, because these issues do have multiple layers. And I notice that in these hypnotherapy sessions, you get a lot more than you bargained for. They're usually very, very productive and very powerful. So even if you don't get everything done, you still get a lot done. So everyone can do it. I've even had people that I wasn't sure because I thought they were really, really anxious. I will say the number one thing that stops people from being able to have a successful session, maybe it slows the process down, is self-doubt. Self-doubt and frustration, which come from expectations, disappointment. So doubts and disappointment, and distractions too, but doubts, disappointments. I used to call them the 3Ds: doubts, distractions, disappointment. But these are major things that can slow the process down, and it still was working. It will still work for you. It's just that it may take a little bit longer. So the conscious versus the subconscious mind explained. Well, again, the conscious is the part of the mind that's more analytical, more logical, more rational. It's the part that really makes things complex and complicated. It's kind of like a filter in a way. So we might be receiving a lot of information from our subconscious, from our superconscious, from all these other levels of us, but our conscious mind may be filtering that, causing a lot of doubt and distraction and frustration and things like that. It's like a computer. It's very, very powerful. It's what helps us actually function in the world and be able to make sense of things. But at the same time, it can also create a lot of suffering because it can internalize a lot of things where we're feeling doubt, we're feeling frustration, we're feeling guilt, we're feeling like, we need to be punished, we're being hard on ourselves, it's like the inner critic, like all these things really come from that part of the mind. So that's why when we can quiet that part of the mind, we can access our subconscious, which is this part of us that's more completely connected to who we really are. So what happens in a hypnotherapy session? Well, hypnotherapy session breaks down into multiple parts. Usually it starts with just a consultation or discussion of what you want to get out of it. Usually we're talking about your life and going through different patterns that may have come up. And so we can get a good understanding of your history and where you're at and everything like that. And you want to build that rapport. You want to feel comfortable. You don't just want to dive in right away. So that's a good first step. And then there's the induction, which is basically just starting to get in the water. So in this example, we want to get to the deep end of the pool because the deep end is where all the magic and the transformation happens. The induction is like putting your feet in the water, starting to kind of get there to the deep end. And then once you get to the deep end, that's when it's the journey. That's stage 3, which is actually the journey, the change work. This is where the actual work is happening. We get to the deep end and we're diving in and we're doing all this work to change the patterns, to understand certain things. And then after that, let me go through my notes. In a traditional sense, this is where suggestions may come in. I don't really use a whole lot of suggestions in the work that I do, but traditionally, hypnosis is really based on suggestions, which is if there's anything that you're wanting to change as you go through the journey, you go through the change work process, there's kind of this final moment where it's really reiterating, reaffirming these changes, making sure that they're solidified. That's where this final part comes in. For me, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just reiterate what is true, because a lot of times what I'm doing is actually more akin to dehypnosis. It's actually saying, hey, we've already been hypnotized. We've already been hypnotized by our families, by society, by our cultures, by the world, by our friends to think a certain way, and we're actually needing to unwind that to connect with what's actually true. So this is when I kind of reaffirm the truth of certain things. An example could be that we have a fear of failure or a fear of rejection because we don't think that we're worthy or we don't feel lovable. This is just an example. And the truth is we are worthy. We are lovable. It's just, again, an example, but just reiterating the truth would come in this part. And then finally, it's just coming back and in the integration process, just kind of talking about what we learned and integrating that into our conscious. Because a lot of the healing process, a lot of the actual change and transformational process comes down to taking this information and taking these things that we get from our subconscious and integrating them, absorbing them into our conscious processes as well. So what are the most common uses for hypnotherapy? Well, this is breaking bad habits, anxiety, fear, depression, changing patterns, connecting with our higher purpose, building confidence, really anything that you want to change, especially anything that is subconscious or unconscious and that you want to change quickly or you want to change in a major way, that's good use cases for hypnosis. Performance improvement. So, how many sessions will I need? This is different for everyone. Some you might just need 1 or 2, some might be 3 or 4, some might be 5 or 6, some might be more. It really depends. Depends on the issue, depends on how many layers are there. I usually think of this in 2 stages. There's the break glass in case of emergency stage where we're fixing a problem. And then there's the grow stage where you can actually use hypnosis to continue to make improvements, but you don't need it. One stage is, I need this. The other stage is, I want this. This is beneficial for me. So I usually find that in my work, 3 to 4 sessions tends to be the right amount. That tends to be the best amount for really getting to the root and moving through things. 5 sessions sometimes might be needed, 5 or 6. Rarely will somebody need more than 6. Doesn't mean it might benefit someone. Just means that rarely someone might need 5 or 6. And I have found that to be true with most hypnotherapists. Most hypnotherapists might have a package of 6 sessions. It's very rare that there might be more than that because, again, we kind of function with, hey, how many will someone need? I don't want you to have to do more than what you need, but if you get value from it, if it's really helping you, then you're going to want to come back. You're going to want to do more work because you're going to notice how valuable this is and how much it can help. So one of the final things I want to mention is self-hypnosis. Self-hypnosis is very, very powerful. It's a way that you can use hypnosis on your own through meditations, guided meditations, affirmations to start to make change. And you can do this while you're sleeping. You can do it in the morning. You can do it at night, just listening to tracks and kind of programming your mind a little bit. This topic goes really, really deep, and I'll talk about it more. But one thing I just want you to know is that self-hypnosis can be very, very powerful and is a good way to kind of create those new neural pathways and create those new patterns, and also just remove old patterns. The number one thing to remember, well, one of the top things, is that you need to really know that some things are true. So if you're using affirmations, different things, it's not really going to work if you don't really believe it to be true. One of the things that's effective is when you're doing this change work and you know something to be true, that you lean into that. So you're really creating this new identity. You're building a personality. You're building yourself on a stronger foundation. When you really recognize that you built certain patterns on foundations that aren't really true. And like, for example, let's say that you were always trying to earn love with your parents when you were young, and then you realize that you created a pattern of seeking love outside yourself, and then as you get older, you realize, like, oh, my parents were not doing the best, or they had these patterns too. This came from my grandparents. This was generational. Don't need to seek love outside myself. I can find that from within. That's something that is true. That as you continue to reiterate that and work on that with self-hypnosis, you can continue to make those changes really, really quickly. So how to find a qualified hypnotherapist? The number one thing, check reviews. Look to see what their website's like, what they talk about, check their videos, check their profiles, and just see who you resonate with. Most offer free consultations, so definitely take advantage of that. See how you can have that connection with them. And the most important thing, again, is that you feel comfortable and safe with your practitioner. That's the number one thing, because even if they don't have any reviews and they're new or anything, if you have a really good, strong connection with them, it can still be just as powerful as the best hypnotist or hypnotherapist in the world. But if you didn't really have a connection with them, it's not going to work anyway. Or it's not going to work effectively. It's not going to be as effective. I shouldn't necessarily say it's not going to work. It's just, it may not be as transformative or as effective. Also, check the reviews. Don't just look for the 5 stars. See what people are saying. See what the results are. A lot of people can say, hey, I felt good with this person, but look to see what the reviews are talking about in terms of the results, because you also want someone who can really deliver results. That's really important, is a hypnosis practitioner that's really powerful at creating change and really transformational will really create those transformations, and people will talk about them. So I hope this helps. I've also got a masterclass where I go through all these topics in much more depth, and I'm going to link that down below or on the screen. So if you want to check out this masterclass, if you want to learn more about all of this and watch the full video, the full masterclass, definitely check that out. Other than that, this is the 3rd video on my channel. So there's a lot more videos coming. There's going to be meditations. There's going to be self-hypnosis tracks. There's going to be a lot more things coming. And I want to connect with every single one of you as much as I possibly can. You'll notice that there's no editing in this video. That's for a real purpose, because it kind of simulates the conscious mind is kind of our editor, and I don't want to do any editing. So this is just all subconscious. This is all coming from my soul, coming from my heart, and wanting to be authentic. I'm recognizing we're living in a world that may be becoming less authentic with AI and all these types of things, which it's such a blessing, but at the same time, some of you don't know what's real and what's not. I want to be real, especially with all of you, especially because hypnosis is such a vulnerable thing. You really want to be connected with someone who you really trust, really feel safe with, and really feels genuine and authentic. So for me, that's what I care about the most. And so I'd love to get to know you. If you're watching and you stayed this long, comment and let me know a little bit more about you, what you found interesting during this video, anything that you want to see more of, or any questions that you have. And I'll definitely get back to you, whether I comment or make another video. And yeah, would love for you to join my community here as well. And there'll be a lot of amazing things coming. Really excited for different things that are coming. And of course, if you want a session, that information will be down below. If you want to work together, that information will be down below. But you don't have to work with me. You could work with anyone. So next steps, just keep learning, keep growing, keep staying curious, and have an open mind. Just have fun, really. This is all just fun. I will say the last thing I forgot to mention are the benefits. So I'm going to end here and just saying the benefits of hypnosis are you can really deeply get to a place of feeling fulfilled, of feeling confident, of feeling empowered, of feeling loved and loving, of feeling peace. All the beautiful things you could possibly imagine, just these beautiful states, can come from hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Why? Because hypnosis and hypnotherapy are a fast lane to doing the inner work again. So just know that it's not going to do the work for you, but it is a fast lane for you to do the real inner work. And that's what I love, that this is inner work and that everything is within. I'm not a doctor necessarily. I'm not necessarily a therapist. What I'm more of is a guide to help you find it within yourself. That's why I love hypnosis and hypnotherapy, because it shows that you have all the answers within. You have the answers. And this is giving you your power back. This is helping you reclaim control and be able to take control of your life and create your life the way that you want it. Be the full authority of your life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.